Hi, and thank you for joining us to salute Maryland youth and their champions of courage. For the past 34 years, WBFF has commemorated Black History Month by celebrating champions of courage, positive role models who keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream alive and continue to lead us on the journey to fulfill the dream. In this program, we'll share with you those who inspire our youth. We'll profile 5 community champions whose lives and commitment empower youth to become the best they can be. Each year, Fox 45 invites Maryland students to participate in an essay program saluting their champions of courage. 15 students representing schools throughout our state will share their salutes to their role models, their champions of courage. We'll hear from Dr. Freeman Rabowski, president of UMBC, Congressman Kwesi Mfume, Speaker of the Maryland House of Delegates Adrian Jones, and Alicia Wilson, Vice President for Economic Development, Johns Hopkins University and Health. Each will share messages to inspire and motivate us to continue to find our champions, follow in their footsteps, and achieve the dream. Now, at the end of the program, we'll announce the top 3 student essayists in the 34th Annual Champions of Courage Essay Program. Let's begin to salute Maryland's Champions of Courage with an introduction to a very special family.
Champions of Courage are committed to creating opportunities for youth and our communities to grow strong with equal access to education, job skills, relationships with people from all walks of life, and to nurture and harvest a life that builds up and gives back. Rick and Carol Bernstein are doing this in a unique way that gives us food for thought.
Rick and Carol Bernstein have a peculiar yet satisfyingly nourishing story.
It's just a community space.
Rick was a banker for many years at investment firm Alex. Brown before he and his wife decided to make the transition from corporate America to the farm life. The year 1998 when First Fruits Farm was born.
The farm began from humble beginnings with 1/3 of an acre and a rototiller at our house. And then our church got involved, and it went to 1 acre, and then to 2, and then to 4, and then to 8.
Rick and Carol moved their family to the farm life in northern Baltimore County with the idea that they would plant and harvest their fields using a volunteer workforce and donate the resulting fresh produce to organizations serving needy people and families in their community.
We thought, why would we only limit what people in need get to leftovers? Why would we not purposefully, give them the first fruits of the harvest?
The 203-acre plot of land is more than just a farm. It's a ministry. And as you'll quickly see, its purpose is to grow and give food to those in need and bring together volunteers from diverse backgrounds to share a time of serving and provide fellowship opportunities for people of all backgrounds.
We had no idea that was going to happen. So we were faithful in just putting one foot in front of the other, and there were times we both looked at each other and said, how is this going to work?
And get this, 16.8 million pounds of food. By the way, 100% of what is grown is given to food banks, soup kitchens, churches, shelters, even schools. It truly is all about giving back to the community and building up, something Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. emphasized.
It's also been just such a joy. As you even mentioned when you stepped on the land, you can breathe deeply. You just see it's beautiful all around you, even in the end of January. And, it's just a blessing to be able to come together with people and do something for others and to reach outside of ourselves. And a lot of the people who actually receive the food have come and volunteered to help in the harvest with us. It's a very community building experience. We call it the body at work, and it's just, it's very joyful.
Despite a raging pandemic, Carol and Rick still made it work.
In the world we're living in, where there's so much divisiveness and bad feelings, to have an activity where we can bring people together from all walks of life, whether it be white, black, rich, poor, for a time of serving, not themselves, but serving others that are in a bad spot. And there's an infectious joy about that.
In Freeland, I'm Elijah Westbrook.
Hi, I'm Speaker Adrian Jones, and I'm pleased to join Fox 45 in celebrating Black History Month by highlighting a positive role model. My champion of courage is Shirley Chisholm. She was the first African-American woman to serve in Congress and was the first woman and African-American to run for president. Role models like Shirley Chisholm inspire all of us to achieve more, to break glass ceilings, and give more people a seat at the table. Her work to champion racial and gender equality made it possible for me to become Maryland's first Black, first woman Speaker of the House of Delegates. Thank you, Shirley Chisholm.
Champions of Courage was created in 1987 with two goals: to salute positive role models for youth and to provide students with the opportunity to think about their role models and write a short essay saluting them to share with our viewers. During the 34 years of Champion of Courage, we have received tens of thousands of essays, and we thank our classroom teachers. They are instrumental in keeping Dr. King's dream alive by introducing their students to his lessons and providing a voice and venue for them to share role models. For many students, engagement in this program has been personal and life-changing. They are building confidence and creating a sense of pride in themselves, their schools, and community.
The process of putting together the Champions of Courage writing piece is so impactful for the students because they're able to pour their heart and soul into this project.
My champion of courage is my Uncle Tommy. He took me to his meetings at Morgan State University, exposing me at a young age to a college campus. The day President Obama was elected, my uncle took me with him to vote. My uncle has shown me my own potential in life by allowing me into his, and that is why he is my champion of courage.
Jordan Cook stands unafraid before crowds on social media, looks those hate-shaped oppressors in their eyes, and with a fire in her own not driven by anger but by a fierce justice, she takes initiative. Martin Luther King Jr. stood for peace, not violence. Jordan embodies this peace-driven action, the awareness to envision change and the courage to follow through with it.
Every time that we get somebody who is a finalist in the top 20, it's a huge celebration.
My champion of courage is the late Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm. She came from humble beginnings as a daughter of immigrants, and she fought for education, opportunities, and social justice. She established herself as a bold and outspoken maverick. Like Martin Luther King Jr., Congresswoman Chisholm believed that needed changes could be effected peacefully through the power of words, both spoken and written.
Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." My bubby, grandmother in Yiddish, embodies the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. every day. From baking cookies for soldiers, donating a kidney anonymously, and giving out Meals on Wheels, she showed me putting in a little time to make others feel better can push away the darkness in our world and spread the positivity.
My champion of courage is my 5th grade teacher, Miss Brianna. In her classroom, she made it her mission to uplift the little Black boys and girls she taught. She even made us recite the poem, "Hey Black Child," by Maya Angelou, every morning just so we could start off the day with a few words of empowerment. Ms. Ross was the first teacher I had who made me look at the color of my skin as something beautiful, while I was able to go out in the world and see how negatively some people see it.
After decades of serving women, children, and the community, Harriet Noakes says, "My work is just beginning, and the COVID pandemic shows even more ways to serve." Harriet's passion is based on a vision and goal. She says God is allowing her to help change the lives of youth. Let's meet Harriet Noakes.
Harriet Mooring Noakes wasn't born in Baltimore.
I think we were coming from like Syracuse, New York.
But as fate would have it, Baltimore became her home at a young age when traveling down the coast with her parents.
Their car broke down in Baltimore, and so they stayed. That's how I got my start here. That's how I ended up here.
Since then, Harriet has held more titles than people closest to her can count.
It's crazy how she has all these roles, but always maintains her composure.
But the one constant is her work with youth. Harriet has been a foster parent to more than a dozen young women and their children.
This is the health workshop.
She also serves as outreach director for her own nonprofit, Better Way Outreach Ministries, inspiring young volunteers to feed those in need.
She makes a huge impact in everyone's lives, and it's a blessing to be around her.
Much of her outreach is done here at the new Antioch Church, where she's also a minister.
She's always got drive. She's got energy. Sometimes I don't know where she gets all this energy from.
Whether raising funds or finding volunteers, Bishop Orlando Wilson says Harriet figures out a way to get it done.
That's what I'll call her, kingdom hustler. Kingdom hustler. She hustles until she gets it.
I'm constantly trying to, my mind constantly is on overdrive.
Harriet is already planning out her next project, creating safe zones across the city for Baltimore's youth together. Just another example of how she's inspiring the next generation so they can do the same.
That's what we try to teach our young people, is that it's good to give back or good to help somebody else, you know, because that make that person feel special or important, and it could change their lives.
In Baltimore, I'm Rachel Aragon.
There is a common trait among champions of courage. They have their own champions. Many times those who have inspired them have been someone in their early life, a parent, a teacher, a pastor, an employer. These champions teach lifelong lessons, and for many, they find inspiration from a new generation of champions. Dr. Freeman Harbowski, president of University of Maryland, Baltimore County, tells us about his champions of courage as a youth and those who inspire him today.
I think about my childhood in Birmingham, Alabama, and sitting in the back of church, listening to the minister talk about the need for children to get a better education. And I was excited to hear him say that. And I said, who is that guy? And they said his name was Dr. Martin Luther King. And I ended up going and marching with him as part of the Children's Crusade in Birmingham. And we spent 5 days in jail. And that experience taught me that children can be empowered to believe in themselves and to work to make a difference. And what we learned was that tomorrow can be better than today. And so when I think about heroes, I think about Dr. King and my parents, but I think about my students and my graduates of UMBC. From Alicia Wilson, who started writing essays when she was 11, and she's now a senior vice president at Hopkins. We're so proud of her. To the Speaker of the House of Delegates of the state of Maryland, first woman and first Black, who grew up as a little kid out in Arbutus, Maryland. To the one that we're all talking about these days, Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett. I want you to Google her. She is the first Black woman to ever create a vaccine. She led the NIH team to create a vaccine for the COVID virus. And so as people are taking the coronavirus vaccine, I wanted to think about Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett. She represents hard work and what we say at UMBC, grit, of never giving up. And most important, young people, are believing in ourselves.
More than 50 years ago, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the leaders of the civil rights movement addressed injustice experienced by African Americans, by underserved communities, by those who labored hard under harsh conditions and were recognized with little respect and fewer rights. They gave voice to the voiceless. As we have experienced recently, the journey for justice continues. We need to have hard conversations and encouragement to move forward fairly and move forward together. There are champions of courage who inspire our youth to do the same.
President Barack Obama fought to bring the change we need. He once said, "We did not come to fear the future, we came to shape it." As a disciple of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., President Obama's determination and actions to bring fairness, opportunity, and peace for all are admirable. He helped people overcome their obstacles and was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his contributions. He is a leader, a fighter, a champion. He is my hero.
Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, frequently referred to by the moniker RBG, laid out a motivational legal legacy. Throughout her career, she inspired women and girls of all ages. When she made her first famous dissent, it took a lot of bravery to defend what she believed was right. RBG was devoted to the development of equality. She taught us how to persevere and how to be brave. Whenever someone decides to show courage for justice, her legacy continues.
Thurgood Marshall was an African-American civil rights activist and the first African-American judge in the Supreme Court. He was a person who sought for justice and equality. Thurgood wanted to help everyone seek justice regardless of skin color or race. He was a man who not only thought about himself, but for everyone else around him. Thurgood was a man of courage and integrity who sought justice for everyone.
In the weeks and days leading up to the 2020 election, Stacy Abrams helped to register more than 800,000 people in Georgia to vote. She founded and currently leads the organization Fair Fight, which helps to educate people about voting, combat voter suppression, and give every American a say in our government. Abrams has helped many African Americans to overcome the barriers to voting, bringing the nation closer to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream of equality and fairness.
Rosa Parks once said that I would like to be remembered as a person who wanted to be free so other people would also be free. The hard conversations and hard work to achieve freedom never ends. And right here in our community, there are people who are not free. They are the victims of human trafficking. These are the unseen and forgotten, but they have been in the first thoughts of Jean Allert of the Samaritan Women.
Meet Jean Allert, a former D.C. consultant with an ever-growing family.
I have one adult child, and she says that, it must have been God's plan that I would only have one child because he knew I was going to have 100 more.
To her children, now mostly adult women, she's more fondly known as Miss Jean.
It's something that the women often did voluntarily as a show of respect. And so we just went with it.
That respect is something Miss Jean garnered over the years after making it her personal mission to help survivors of sex trafficking.
We learned more from them about what their needs were.
The Samaritan Women started taking in young women more than a decade ago, offering not just housing, but therapeutic, spiritual, and academic support.
The more you learn, it also grows in you a greater appetite to do more. We started to say we could actually reach more survivors if we shifted into equipping others instead of just trying to do it all ourselves.
Jean found there was not only a deficit of shelter programs nationally, but also a tremendous number of shelters that were closing.
So in 2018, we made a very hard choice and said that we would pivot into becoming a training and mentoring organization, coupled with research.
Since then, the Samaritan Women has built out a curriculum, helping others establish new shelters all across the country, from Pennsylvania to central Iowa.
Her passion was just invaluable to us as an organization.
Brenda Long founded Garden Gate Ranch, which provides safe housing and services to sexually exploited women and their children.
There was things that we hadn't even thought about that Jean brought to the table.
We have set a goal that we would like to establish 24 new shelters by 2024.
For people like Jean, there's always more work to be done.
My way of responding to this new level of responsibility is one of, I need to keep learning. So I'm back in school as well.
Her impact can be felt not just in the number of shelters she's helped open, but also from the periodic calls she receives from her many children.
One that they thought to call and say, hey, Miss Jean, I just want you to know I'm doing really good. I'm going to college. I just had a baby. I'm getting married. Those kinds of things. It definitely affirms that what we tried to create here as a family feel was something we accomplished.
In Baltimore, I'm Rachel Aragon.
Hi, I'm Congressman Kwesi Mfume, here to say congratulations to all of this year's Champions of Courage. Dr. Martin Luther King once said that in this unfolding conundrum of life and history, that there really is such a thing as being too late. For procrastination, he said, is the great thief of time. Don't ever confuse style and substance. Nobody ever asked what kind of car Malcolm X drove, and nobody ever wondered if Dr. King wore a designer suit. Style is temporary, but substance lasts forever. And so I say to all the students, teachers, everybody who is a part of this, who celebrate the courage of their convictions, remember one thing: good, better, best, never let it rest until the good is better and the better becomes our best. Congratulations, champions of courage.
She simply sat down in a seat that was not meant for her. However, it might as well have been tagged with RP on the side because she was not going to move. Because she sat, the nation could walk. Because she sat, she gave the future of America a step in the direction of equality. The thread of hope embedded in that front bus chair was sewn into a cloth of freedom. Thank you, Rosa Parks.
Although faced with adversity, Malala lives every day with passion and persistence. Malala noticed educational injustice within her community and, like Martin Luther King, found the courage to speak out against it. As the youngest person to receive a Nobel Peace Prize, Malala expressed, "This award is not just for me, it is for those voiceless children who want change." She shows young people like myself that it is never too early to make a change in your community.
There was a song that shared the trials, tribulations, tears, and eternal hope of Dr. King and those who marched for freedom, equality, and justice more than 50 years ago, and those who still march today. We shall overcome.
Meet Darren Rogers, a Baltimorean from the city's Irvington neighborhood.
I was born to a 14-year-old mother and a 16-year-old dad. We experienced a lot of challenges in our younger days.
Rogers, a child of young parents, grew up in poverty. Rogers says it wasn't necessarily the financial aspect of things he lacked, but some of the essentials of life such as leadership and support. But knowing what kids like him growing up needed, Rogers got together with a team of 6 other people and created the I Am Mentality Youth Male Empowerment Program in 2016.
And we were just thinking about and mulling over ideas of how can we impact the city and how can we not become just another program, but a relevant and an extremely effective program that supports families who represent, just where we are.
The program currently helps more than 100 young black men. But as you'll quickly see, it's more than just another mentoring program. It addresses the needs of Baltimore's inner city youth, giving them the health, wellness, character building, and financial support that's normally not taught.
What we want to do is we want to create an environment, killing off the stigma in the African American community towards receiving mental health services and make that a part of your everyday diet.
But the work Rogers takes on doesn't just stop there. He is also the co-founder of the Baltimore Legacy Builders, which is a group of black-led organizations that provides essential life skills and empowerment to 1,300 boys in Baltimore.
If we can give care to that and begin to invest with young people at just at a high level at a young age, we can change the trajectory of their lives.
Rogers is a man constantly on the move, working hard each and every day so that these young men who may not have seen the light at the end of the tunnel the way he says he has, do, realizing it could make the world of a difference in their lives.
I could be off in my car and just, break out in tears, just over just seeing these young men grow, because I've, to some degree laid down a lot of my life for them to be able to get to the next level.
In Baltimore, I'm Elijah Westbrook.
Champions of courage come from all walks of life. They occupy high offices and they can reach down to help those at risk and those with little or no hope. They can be seen in our homes, our classrooms, on the world stage or the big screen. They tell our story. They give us love and hope. They light a path to help us realize dreams and inspire us to do right.
Jordan Peele is a champion of courage. He makes sure that people of color are seen in genres of film in which they have rarely been seen before. He has captivated audiences with the work he has done. He shows the world not only how much representation and inclusivity matter, but he also expresses the experience of being Black in America. His work has motivated me to use my art to tell stories that leave a lasting impression and to create art that forces people to have uncomfortable conversations about our society and culture.
Encouraging, inspiring, understanding, they're not just adjectives. To me, they mean so much more. They describe my mom. She pushes me through my limits, helped me achieve my goals, and make my dream reality. Like Dr. King, she encouraged me to never give up. She inspired me to push through negativity. And when all hope is lost, she understands and works with me to regain a positive mindset.
Along with equality, Martin Luther King showed millions of Americans love. Love that inspired people to treat others with respect and equality regardless of differences. My father has always shown and taught similar virtuousness to me. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." My father has always instilled the same values in me, evoking me to treat others with love rather than fighting fire with fire.
My champion of courage is the late Chadwick Boseman. At 9, I sat on the edge of my seat as I watched him swing his bat with an amount of vigor I didn't know was possible. At 14, I sat proud and mesmerized as I watched the first Black superhero in a movie of his own. And at 16, I'm dejected and downcast at his passing. Like Dr. King, they both persevered and triumphed through adversity, leaving a people more empowered and inspired. And to them, I say thank you.
As we come to a close, saluting Maryland's Champions of Courage and announce the top 3 finalists of our 34th annual essay program, we want to share a special message for our students. We first met Alicia Wilson when she was 11 years old and submitted an essay saluting her mother. Alicia has been a part of Champions of Courage since that time. Alicia has a deep commitment to youth, our community, and lives Dr. King's lesson. The time is always right to do what's right.
It is an honor and a pleasure to congratulate you today on winning the Champions of Courage competition. When Dr. King 57 years ago had a dream about what children could become if they had access to all of the opportunities that they should be afforded, he was dreaming of you. And thankfully, you are living out that dream. You are stretching yourselves. You are making friends across all different lines. And you are seeing the power in uplifting role models in our community so that they can shine as a light on what we all might become. And the secret is that while you have your own role models, your own champions of courage, you have become that for others, for your peers, for your teachers, for your families. And so it is my honor to get to see the dream realized in all of you.
Each of our top finalists will receive additional awards, and their schools will receive awards in their honor. Now our top finalists. Our third place essayist from Gerstel Academy, Catherine Sager. Catherine and her school will both receive a $100 award. And in second place, Brianna Pompey of Parkville High School. Brianna and her school will both receive a $150 award. And now here's the moment. Our first place essayist from Perry Hall High School, Ava Ware. Ava and her school will both receive a $200 award. Congratulations to all of our essayists, and thank you for sharing your Champions of Courage with us. It's been our pleasure to salute Maryland's Champions of Courage. We thank our student essayists, their teachers and role models, and our community champions, Rick and Carol Bernstein, Harriet Noakes, Jean Allert, and Darren Rogers. And we thank you for joining us today. Each of us has the ability to be a champion. The time is always right to do right. The challenge is to work together to realize the dream of a just and fair community of equals, where we look up to one another as a champion of courage. I'm Kai Jackson, and thank you.